It's very interesting listening to everyone today because I come from a different space, and so when I tell you a little bit about my background, it might resonate with all of you on how maybe it all came together. I've been in the sports industry for about 30 years, I hate to admit it. I represented cities in what's called a sports commission. I represented the city of Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Louisville, Kentucky, and Orlando over that period of time, not months. And what we did as sports commissions, we were public-private partnerships. We did the bids for the Super Bowls and the Olympics and the Final Fours and the World Cup soccer. So my world is sort of that, level of global and national sports and entertainment events. In Los Angeles, we were sports and entertainment. And so, and the reason I wanted to share that with you is that our whole goal was economic development and tourism. And my other role was I was the state tourism director for the state of Pennsylvania for a few years, under a couple administrations ago. So disaster relief actually, not only does it affect families and communities and all that, it affects tourism, it affects economic development, because when a city shuts down, so do the restaurants and hotels and all the other components of this. And that was what we were there to do, was to create opportunity for the cities. So that's kind of how it ties into the whole disaster relief effort. And I hope that we can figure out a way to bring those industries together, and also the athletes and the entertainers as well. But I'll talk a little bit about the athletes for a minute. A few years ago, when the Ukraine war broke out, I contacted Mark, and he introduced me to Jim Alvey, Good 360, and Jem, also, and Michael Capone. And I decided to put together a group of 25 soccer legends. They either played on a U.S. national team or an MLS team, and we created Legends for Peace because we wanted to raise money for Ukraine. After that event, all the soccer legends said, let's do this again. We had a great time, it was fun, we were doing it for a good cause. So with the World Cup coming next year, I thought, let's bring Legends for Peace on a tour and bring them around to different World Cup cities and other places as well. Then I was contacted by a group called Football for Peace, and they are going to collaborate with us as well. And what they do is they're global in nature, and they have a U.S. office, but they do water sustainability around the world. So that all kind of ties in. And then thirdly, I happen to have received a great invitation in June to go to the Vatican, and I met Pope Leo. Well, we had an audience with Pope Leo. I didn't get to shake his hand and kiss his ring, but I was right there in the third row. And what Pope Leo talked about was using sport and faith to promote peace in our communities, in the world, and so all this started to come together for me. And I thought after that, meeting with Pope, to create the World Peace Project. So we're putting in Legends for Peace, Football for Peace, the sport and faith component as well. And so I'm launching that now to bring to cities and just create peace in the world, because disaster relief isn't just climate, it's wars. And so we have to kind of put all that together. And then just recently, and I'll pass my microphone over in just a second, I was contacted by a group that's running the America 250 tour. And they're going to be in 50 cities, 50 states over the next year, promoting the birthplace of America. So they offered for me to run their sports pavilion in the tour. And they're going to have a Patriot Village in every state. And so I'll be running the sports pavilion where I'm going to put my Legends for Peace, my Football for Peace, my faith in sports, and all of that in there. So there's an opportunity here to reach a lot of people and to raise money for disaster relief, for world peace, and all of that. So I'm thrilled to be here to figure out how we can kind of bring my world into your world, because FinTech is all new for me. But I'm learning a lot today, so I really appreciate being here, and hopefully we'll figure it all out.
Thank you, Diane. Arlen.
Thank you. So I guess I'm here
representing the financial literacy components of the disaster recovery cycle. My organization, Operation Hope, been in existence roughly 33 years, going on the 34th year. Founded just after the King riots in LA. At our core, we are a financial literacy organization. Our core mission is making the free enterprise system work for everybody. If I were to quote our founder and chairman, Chairman Bryant, we're not just focused on the movement of civil rights, but we're moving to civil rights. Again, I'm helping folks understand how to make finances work for them. My particular team, my department, we focus on financial resilience, and that covers the gamut of individuals, families, over to small business resilience. For me, it's been a personal mission. I've been working in the nonprofit space for the part of 20 years now. In fact, my very first disaster was Hurricane Katrina. Remember, like yesterday, I've been living in New Orleans, in prior life working in marketing, taking a job in New Orleans. Lived there for 4.5 years. I actually relocated to Atlanta 8 months before Hurricane Katrina. And I always tell people this story about my path because I think for me, New Orleans was a sort of reinvention. From the corporate world into nonprofit and never looked back. But what was imperative for me, because just months before that, I was there. And I always tell people I would have been that dude trapped there because as this young kid grew up in Alabama, I remember having conversations with guys I grew up with. You won't believe this. I'm saying it's Category 2 hurricanes, winds are crazy. I was at it, right? And every year that I lived there was supposed to be the big. It always died down for whatever reason before it made landfall. But to see that people would actually gain was crazy for me. So when I got the opportunity to move into the disaster space, I spent several years as a Red Crosser, working in the disaster space, trajectory, brought me up, secured an MBA. This job gave me the ability to apply all those things that I learned in helping people prepare and recover from disaster. Most recently, of course, working in the LA area with the disaster recovery efforts out there. Got a team that's been very dedicated to supporting the individuals in small business recovery and applying some of the lessons we learned out of the Lahaina fire and hopefully making a similar impact with the LA recovery efforts and economic recovery efforts. It's our main goal. I was particularly interested, and I've heard it mentioned a couple of times here today, about this sort of symbiotic relationship between small business recovery and individuals. I can tell you as someone who's doing that work on both ends, there's inextricable linkage there. Because as it has been said, I'll rehash it because it is important. It does us no good to help one part of that and not help the other. We can pour all the funds and support we can into individuals and their families, but if they don't have goods and services, a place to get those goods and services, the resources they need, the more places to go back to work to, we are just kicking the can down the road, trying to get them, and vice versa. If all we're focused on is helping small businesses to recover, and they don't have foot traffic, they don't have clients who can return to work, staff members who can return to work, can you make hand down? So both those things have to recur simultaneously.
Wow, thank you. And it's our privilege to be right alongside you, Marlon, in Operation PaaL as campus as a lifeline. And I've been up to Los Angeles and met with a crowd of 200-300 people just sitting there with nothing, no home, no business, no hope. So our whole goal here in working with you and now Diane opening up your world of sport and influence, and getting this bright light that shines in this room here in Washington, D.C., see the work you're all doing, whether it's Maui or Los Angeles. And part of that effort, and we're already working with some of you on this, is through one of my partnerships with Reach TV, and we have the largest in-airport multimedia and communications network in the United States of America. We're in, I think, almost the top 100 USA airports, and we reach an audience of 1 billion mobile digital consumers on the go each and every year. And we're in contract with all the major three-letter sports leagues, MLB, NFL, soccer. We're going to have the World Cup on. So we're trying to bring truth, positivity, generosity, and literacy to these communities. And we're committed for the long term. And Kirsten, thank you for letting me post this last panel. Any final words, Diane?
I guess I just want to say, you never think it can happen to you. It happens to everyone else. Two of my close friends in the world of the sports commission world, Doug Thornton, maybe some of you know him in New Orleans. He was the manager of the Superdome. So when Katrina happened, he had to deal with, housing everyone there. So that was devastating. And then my other good friend, Tim Schneider, in Los Angeles, he was in the LA in Palisades, and he lost his home. And I just introduced him to Mark and Kirsten, and hopefully.
And you talk about, you never know. Kirsten and I are going to be in Los Angeles, and we're going to be with Marlon again on the fires. And one of her lifelong friends lost everything, there in Palisades. And we've been invited to participate there and be part of the, rebuilding.
And I just want to mention one thing. Next month, I'm going to be in front of 800 cities in Columbus, Ohio. The Sports Travel Magazine Teens Convention is all the sports commissions from around the country. It's going to be Olympic committees there. Anyone in sports is going to be at this conference. And it was Tim Schneider who actually started the whole conference 20-some years ago. So I have an opportunity to give my messages out to over 800 cities that will be here. And as the former state tourism director, I'm connected to the National State Tourism Association. So I just want to use my network and my people to promote and do something for good. I had a great career, and now it's time for me to give back.
Thank you, Diane. And thank you, Marlon. Any final words from you, sir?
Yeah, well, I think I just drawing a connection to the purpose that we're all here for today. I've already mentioned a couple of times, today about the ability to have a tool that could track the flow of funds, getting it to the right people at the right time. But also being able to have some mechanisms to help control how it's spent and where it's spent. When we talk about the restoration of an economy that's been devastated, reflecting immediately to Ryan Palisades, where 90+% of those small business communities have been just total loss. We often talk about this timeline of disruption for a small business owner as being a critical sort of line of demarcation. Because our data shows us that businesses that are closed in excess of 5 days, 90% of those are total loss. We're not coming back. Again, we're trying to reduce that gap, right? Shrink that time. So having a mechanism in place that can put funds in the hands of the survivors and maybe tie that into spending with those businesses that were impacted can go a long way. So as you guys are developing these tools and creating those platforms, think about how that we can recirculate those funds that are going into those communities to help rebuild those small business owners. I'm reminded of one of the small business owners who signed up with our program out in Altadena. Just being completely devastating at a loss. And for her, it's not about, necessarily getting a handout. She's owned a hair salon for 10 years in Altadena. And just like that, it was wiped out. It's her livelihood, and the lifeblood of her family, right? Now she's without a place to reopen because the real estate has been totally devastated in the majority of those areas. So we dropped $1 million in on someone like that. She didn't have a place to live. So part of the process that we're going through is how we can put some mechanisms that really shake up what the recovery process typically is for folks, wrap our arms around these small business owners. Understanding we're not going to be able to help and save every small business, we get that. But I want to be able to tell folks who are affected by that, here's a process that we put in place. May not be able to help you, but I can help you. May not be able to help you, but I can damn sure help this person, right? So, part of our mission is building these coalitions. I love to attend, these types of events and hear the new technologies and the ideas that are being developed, because that gives us hope to bring back to folks like me who just get things.
Bless you. Thank you. And thank you all for hanging out. Am I the last or are you the last?
I get to close.
You get to close,
Yes.
of course. Thank you.